Namaste and hello, welcome to Yoga of Grace with myself. My name is Lucas, and today we're going to practice this kind of breathing series, as I recalled it, a few videos on the breathing techniques in yogic tradition and how the breathing techniques really altered and shifts the state of our mind and state of our being within ourselves, and brings a bit more harmony, and how you, with the use of the breath, can really shift how you feel within yourself. Especially if you, this breathing technique today we're going to do, especially good when you feel you're low on energy and you would like to kind of bring it up. It's also important to remember that it's not always a good idea to use this technique. Sometimes whenever things are low, sometimes we just get to feel it and notice that there might be some wisdom hidden within. But considering that we not always are, it's not always possible to do that, I'm going to bring this technique today. So the technique today that we're going to practice, it's called Kapalabhati, or the breath of fire. And it's a very powerful kind of breathing technique, and it's very simply energize our whole body and mind as it simply changes the breathing pattern. I'm going to probably record a different video where I'm going to talk about the importance and the power of the breath, as it very much has enormous influence of how we feel within ourselves. But for today, let us just stick with this Kapalabhati. So Kapalabhati, it's very much called the cleansing breath, or the breath of fire, which simply, according to your tradition, is to, I don't know how to say it, burn out the impurities of the mind. And you might be able to, even if you do it correctly, manage to have a sense of serenity in the mind, simply because the thoughts that are in incoherence or are not in coherence with your own state of being are simply diminished or dissolved by the breath, and we coming back from our heads to our hearts, and we feel ourselves again by the use of this breath. So we're gonna start very simply. We're gonna start with 3 rounds of 30 repetitions each. And it's a completely different type of a breath than Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, yet the ultimate result is the same. Although this one's going to feel more energized, you're going to feel a bit more power within yourself, rather than when it comes to Nadi Shodhana, it's a bit more quiet, a bit more still, a bit more balanced. And so again, making sure that no one will disturb you for the next several minutes. And don't worry if you're not going to get it the first time. The video is always there, so you can come back to it and again make notes where you did things right, where did you kind of make things wrong, and so to say. And remembering that there's always a sense of feedback that we get from our practice. That the next time you're going to count a mat, maybe not consciously but subconsciously, you're definitely going to know what you did not that right, and naturally there's going to be a sense of progress. So it seems that the biggest challenge is to really show up on the mat and do the practice and reap the benefits of it. So this breath of fire is basically quite rapid breath, and it's about the forceful exhalation of the breath. It's about to get the breath going quite strongly through your system, as it very much, the breath brings the energy from the air, and it energizes and oxygenates the brain. As we know, the brain needs, I think it's 1/5 of the oxygen of the whole body the brain takes. So it's quite a big amount of oxygen coming from the air. And as we kind of practice this, you're going to feel quite serene, and you're going to probably experience some, as the Patanjali called it, the cessation of mind activities. So after each repetition, we're going to do a small break, and we're going to finish with taking a deeper inhale. It's going to look something like that. I'm going to put my hands here just so you know where we start to breathe from first. So we're going to start with the belly and draw the breath up. So it's going to look something like this. And here we're going to retain the breath for at least a few seconds, and then relax. I'm going to take a few quiet moments when you're going to exhale to just enjoy whatever you have created or came up in your experience. So we're going to start by placing maybe the hand here, because it's very important that the breath comes from here and it doesn't really come from the chest, as it can bring some difficulties. And again, making sure that if you have any heart problems, if they were recent, to not do this practice. If you're a woman, if you during a period not do this practice, it very much could interfere with the natural processes within the body, which we don't want to mess with. And if not, I'll invite you to practice with me. So we're going to bring one hand on the belly and one hand on the chest, just to make sure. And we're going to practice, we're going to do a practice round. So the first round is going to be simply like so that's it, that's the practice round for it, that's how it's going to be. And I'm going to count, so don't worry about counting, especially at the beginning. It's more important to get a feel of it, rather than to be preoccupied with, oh, I'm counting it right, or I'm not counting it right. And again, I've been down this road, and I know that one can get too much overexcited or over stressed about if was it 10th breath or was it 11th breath. It doesn't matter if it's 10 or 11. Again, one breath this or that way doesn't make a difference. It's more about the experience that it brings rather than the counting of it. So the hand is there if you need it, if you feel that's going to give you more sense of connection to the core, to the belly, to the abdominal. But again, you don't have to use the hands. You can simply bring them into a mudra and let them relax here on your knees. So we're going to just start with 3 rounds of 30 repetitions each. And if 30 seems too much to you, you can always do 20 and stop there, take that breath and stay a bit longer in that moment of quietness and wait for the next round. So again, I'm not the type of a guy who needs to say, oh, it's got to be 30 and otherwise don't do it, because it makes no sense. Again, if you do 20 repetitions, you did 20 repetitions, it still brings benefits. It's just a matter of giving ourselves a small challenge, so we feel a sense of accomplishment. So yes, I did it, there's a sense of fulfillment coming out of it. But you know, if we set the goal for 30 with a 20, then we're going to feel, then we might feel discouraged, or that wasn't good enough. Again, who needs that? It's not about that, it's not a competition. It's about creating a sense of well-being within ourselves, and that's the important part. So again, we're going to sit comfortably, and maybe closing your eyes, or maybe having your eyes open, however you feel is right for you. And we're going to start with 30 repetitions on this one. And a deep inhale. And taking a deep inhale, bringing the breath all the way to the collarbones, making sure the belly is full. Noticing how the body simply relaxes with the exhalation. And again, taking another round here. And again, deep inhale, lengthening for the whole of the body, for the mind. And exhaling, just letting the breath out. And noticing the subtleness of peace that might surround you as you do this practice. And we're going to do one more round. Again, a deep inhale. And letting go of the breath. And here we're going to spend extra few moments just resting in this a greater sense of calmness of the mind, but also a sense of energy, a vibrancy and aliveness. So that's it for today, that's it for this session, for the practice of Kapalabhati, or the breath of fire. And practice well, practice diligently, and I hope you're going to reap and get the benefits for yourself, and hopefully, as it is with life, when we feel happy, we naturally spread this happiness and calmness and peace around ourselves to everyone that we meet, and sending this different kind of feel and vibration within ourselves. So thank you very much to kind of practice with me, and have enough patience for yourself and willingness to come to this practice. And I hope I will see you next time with a different video and different breathing technique, reaping a slightly different benefits and slightly different feel to it. May you always be happy, and may you always be peaceful. Namaste. Take good care of yourself and enjoy yourself.